Hey there, I'm Jeff Elkins, and this is the Dialogue Doctor Podcast. Today on the podcast, I am with the one, the only, the irrefutable, the undeniable strengths coach, Becca Syme. Okay, so I'm gonna start off just by encouraging you to come and join our community. I don't talk about this enough, and I feel like I'm really kind of doing it a disservice because the Dialogue Doctor community, aka the Dialoguers, they are amazing, and it is an incredibly supportive and encouraging environment. We are gonna help you not just with your writing and with your craft and with your characters, but you're also going to get advice from community members who've been around the world of writing for a long time, about your career, about where you are, about publishing. We support each other. We come around each other. It is a strong and exciting community to be a part of. And I think one of the big signs of that is that I started the community 5 years ago, and there are people in the community that have been there for 5 years because the community is so solid, right? Once you come, you're like, oh, this is what I was looking for in a supportive community. So come and join us. You can join for as little as $5 a month. It's super cheap. And we keep it cheap on purpose because we want people to be able to join. So come jump in. You can join us at Patreon/Jeff Elkins, or go to dialoguedoctor.com and click on the community button. Okay. Other things happening in the Dialogue Doctor world before I get to a personal update and then the conversation with Becca. First, JP, Rhineflesh the Ninth, one of our incredible Dialogue Doctor coaches and my co-writer is for nerds, is speaking at Escape the Plot Forest 2025. That is in 4 days from this podcast launch. It is free. You can go to that conference for free. It's put on by friend of the pod, Daniel David Wallace. He is an amazing teacher. The conference is fantastic. He's going to have more than 20 hours of intensive training, and there'll be 37 experts there. So go and take advantage of that. You can find it at forest.plotsummit.com. And while you're there, give JP a huge shout out. It's all online, by the way. That's all online. There's another conference I'm speaking at this weekend, also free. We got competing conferences. They're warring it out. They're fighting. They're not. They both are put on by wonderful, beautiful people, and they are not fighting with each other, I promise. The other one is the conference I'm speaking at is the Self Pub Con 2025. This is put on by the Alliance of Independent Authors. It's October 18th and 19th. I'm debuting a new talk there. It's I'm talking about what does it mean to write for the streaming generation. I'm specifically talking about writing scenes that feel cinematic. So, and it's not what you think. I know you're like, oh, big sweeping visuals. It's not. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about digging into the intimacy of your characters and like really getting your reader close and personal with your characters. I talk a lot about like what we have as strengths and what they against cinema, and then where we're weak against cinema and how we compensate for those weaknesses. So it's a good talk. Go check it out. And again, that is also free. It's a 2-day conference. They run it. They just run speakers out every hour, and I'm speaking at a pretty good time for the Eastern time zone, which is where I'm at. So go check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's I think that's all the business. Last thing, and this will dovetail well into the personal update. I spoke today, actually. I'm recording this on Sunday, October 12th. I spoke today at the Maryland Writers Convention. They gave me 2 sessions back to back, which I was super honored to be given that much time. They gave me 2 sessions back to back on the main stage, and I did a 2-hour, basically 2-hour workshop on building character voice. For the first half of the workshop, we answered the question, what does it mean to have a strong character? And for the second hour of the workshop, we answered the question, what does it mean to show, not tell? I had a great time, and I got to tell you, sorry. First the business, then the personal reflection. So I just have to encourage you. No, business first. I keep going straight to personal reflection. So the slides from that talk, as you know, if you've been part of my newsletter for a while, when I give a talk and I create new slides, I just give them out to the newsletter. So if you want the slides for that talk, join the newsletter if you're not part of the newsletter, and you'll get it in your email. If you want, and I'll probably send that out Tuesday or Wednesday to give you some time to join the newsletter. You can join the newsletter at dialoguedoctor.com, and you get a free download when you do. You get a free booklet we wrote on ways that you can improve your dialogue right now. And then the other thing is we have a tab on the website, dialoguedoctor.com, for free tools. I created a new handout that kind of takes you through brainstorming a character. You can grab that handout in that free tools section. It is there. So, and it's a PDF. You'll have to print it off. It's not fillable, outable. Those are words. It's not you don't know. It's not fillable, outable on digitally, but you can download it and print it off, or you can just do it in your journal. I download a worksheet like that, and then I just do it in my journal because I'd rather write in my journal anyway. I think that's all the business. Escape the plot forest. Go see JP talk. He's got an amazing talk on the story hypothesis. It's going to be great. The self-publishing con. Come see me talk. It's going to be a lot of fun. This weekend, Self-Pub Con 2025. It's going to be awesome. Join the newsletter so you can get the slides for my talk at the Maryland Writers Association. Now I shall reflect on the Maryland Writers Association. It was fabulous. It's put on by volunteers. It takes place at a hotel near the Baltimore airport. I would say there's about 100 writers there. I didn't count, but that's what I would say. I go as a participant. I am the vice president of the North Baltimore Writers Association. I'm not just an attendee. I'm a member, folks. I go as a participant, not just as a speaker. I know a lot of times speakers show up, speak, and then leave. I went to some fabulous sessions, a really good one on screenwriting, a really amazing one put on by Jared from Full Circle Press on what they're trying to do at Full Circle Press and how they're trying to really focus. I'm hoping to have him on the podcast to talk about it because I really enjoyed what he was talking about, and what he's doing as a small independent publisher was great. So it was just, I just had a great time learning from people, sitting in breakout sessions. It was really fun. I went all day Saturday. And then today I did the 2-hour workshop. People were incredibly kind in the workshop. Yeah, I had a really great time. I spent way too long on the slides. I really like slides when I give a talk to be kind of an emotional catalyst for what I'm talking about, but it was fun. I haven't done a lot of workshops live. I've done a lot of workshops. I've probably only done 3 workshops live now that I think about it. I've done a lot of and I'm not talking about like workshops for small groups. I'm talking about workshops for big groups of 50 or more. I've done a lot of workshops online, but live is just different. And it was a lot of fun, but so I'd talk for 10 minutes and we do a 2-minute break. I played some pretty crappy music that I found free online in the 2-minute break. I did have some dancing up front, but nobody saw it because everybody was working on their character designs. So it's really great. Another thing I love that the Maryland Writers Association does is it has teen writer groups. I was really excited about that. I donated the Maryland Writer, I was trying to donate, and then Flo from the Maryland Writers Association forced me to get paid for them. But I'm going to donate some more. Don't tell Flo. So I'm donating the Dialogue Doctor Dash workbooks to the teens in the Maryland Writers Group. And then I'm going to try to hold a session for them online where I just kind of walk them through how to use the workbook. I think I love that there is a teen group of writers that is being supported by adult writers, helping them kind of figure out what it means to write. I love that. And I really wish, I wish that I had that kind of mentorship. I didn't start writing until I was in my 30s, but I wish I'd had that kind of mentorship even then. Anyway, I think it's really fantastic organization. if you're not part of a local crew, like if you don't have, it doesn't have to be local. If you're not part of a community of writers, I just want to encourage you. This is a team sport, y'all. It's a team sport. We do it now. Yes, you write by yourself. I don't mean that you have to have a writing partner, but I mean that um, writing is an emotional endeavor. You invest yourself in it. And even if you're writing fast, publishing, and repeating, there is an investment of self in what you're doing. And then we all face a lot of rejection and disappointment. I mean, if you like wrote something, you put it out there and it like exploded, congratulations to you. That is fantastic. For the rest of us, there's a lot of fight heading uphill. There's a lot of battle in getting our voice heard and getting ourselves seen. Um, and fighting through the attention economy. There's just a lot of it. And you need people around you supporting you in that endeavor. So come and join a writer's group. And I don't mean a critique group. That's not what I'm talking about. Critique groups are great. They're good for getting feedback. That's awesome. That's not what I mean. I mean a group of writers that you can jump on a Zoom call with, like the Dialogue Doctor community, and go, yeah, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm struggling. And have all those writers go, hey, I've been there, and how can we help you move forward? That's what you need. That's what we do with the Dialogue Doctor. That's what the MWA, the Maryland Writers Association, tries to do. And the conference was great. I really loved it and enjoyed it. It was really good. So, yeah, that's my personal update. I spoke. It was awesome. Slides will be in the newsletter this week. And I'm really proud of these. I made all new slides for this because I can't help myself. Even though I've given this talk like 100 times, I was like, new slides. So I made all new slides. Not all new slides. I reused a couple, but mostly new slides. So they'll be in the newsletter. All right, let's get on with Becca. I don't do much of an intro for Becca in this episode. So I just want to say, if you don't know who Becca Syme is, you should. She's had a profound impact on my life as a writer. As those who have listened to me for a long time know, I struggled a ton with self-doubt, a massive amount with self-doubt, really believing that everything I wrote was garbage. And Becca helped me understand my own strengths that I bring to writing, and that led me down a path of acceptance of my own writing and actually kind of falling in love with my own writing. Which was really hard for me. So it was coming to understand that, like, no, I have a unique voice, and that voice is filled with my strengths, empowered by my strengths, and is something that is worth people's time. It was a hard thing for me to come to, and Becca and her team very much played a role in that journey for me. So. I think Becca's amazing. I think she's just listening to her talk she is a fount of wisdom. So I really loved this conversation with her. I hope you'll enjoy it too. Let's get into talking to Becca. All right, I hit record and I'm with Becca Syme. Becca, do I even need to introduce you?
I mean, you probably should.
If you don't know Becca Syme, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You are the self-publishing royalty, queen of strengths. Have built a strengths for authors empire. You do the quick cast. You also have your own fiction empire on the side. You are all things. How's that for a
I mean, that's maybe the best intro of all time.
Becca Syme? All things. Yeah, no, I feel like if you want an in detailed intro, you should go back to the last time we talked,
Yes.
and because I introed you for like an hour on the last time we talked.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Can we beat it this time? Can we beat it?
Can we beat it this time? Yeah. So we're talking about new stuff today, though.
Yeah.
And so I did take questions from the community about strengths. So we'll get into strengths. We'll get into like author life. We'll get into all of that. But the first thing we want to talk about is your Kickstarter, because you got a Kickstarter coming up that I'm super excited about. I signed up for it today, by the way. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I will follow this, and please give me all the things.
Oh, so, wait, hang on just a second.
Yeah.
So, So the Kickstarter that is currently followable
Yeah.
in like October 3rd is not the one we're launching.
Oh,
Yes, I know. This is like, so we're still waiting on some of the alignment with I have a co-writer for the other book, not the main one on that Kickstarter. So
okay.
this Kickstarter is the Dear Writer You Still Need to Quit. So it's the second
Okay.
quit book.
Second quit book. All
Yeah.
right.
By the time this launches, it will be up, but today when we're recording it, the still need to quit one is not up yet because we're putting the finishing touches on. I'm so excited about this. We're gonna do
Okay.
a collectible. Like we're gonna have a collectible in the Kickstarter, but we had to get
Nice.
some quotes and stuff to make sure that we could price this at a place that was affordable for people,
Okay.
but I'm excited. We're doing a vinyl record of the,
Wow.
yeah,
Of the
I'm excited.
audiobook?
Yeah, like we're gonna
That's
do an abridged
fantastic.
audio and we're doing a vinyl, like a numbered signed, like vinyl audio. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
super fun.
That's super cool. That's really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about the project. Dear author, you still need to quit.
Yeah, so this was the first quit book, the Dear Writer You Need to Quit, was like the thing that kicked off all of
Hmm.
the,
It's
presence of
an
the author
amazing
community.
book. I read it. I
Yeah.
loved it. It's
It
fantastic.
has become this like very quoted, very like,
Hmm.
and I did not expect that to happen. I just sort of wrote it. I had been coaching for a while beforehand, and a bunch of my clients were like, I need something I can share
Yeah.
with other people. And they're like, just write a book that we can share with other people. So I
Yeah.
wrote this book, and the whole purpose of it was to say, like, if you never darken my door for coaching, what could I teach you from
Yeah.
having all this experience? I think I'd done like 3,500 or four or something like that, 3,000 people at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what can I tell you from like 3,000 people coached? And my thesis was sort of like, you need to quit a whole bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and you are trying to do too much of the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like the original author alignment
Yeah.
book that I
Yeah.
wrote.
Yeah.
And what I realized after, probably, I mean, I think it's been 7 years or 8 years since I published that book.
Yeah.
And what I've realized in the interim is that the difference in the publishing industry today is so significant. Like we were really dealing with a lot of gold rush stuff and gold rush mentality and mindset in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
first book. And kind of let's question the premise of all the things we're believing about the gold rush that are just not true anymore. And now that we are fully outside of the gold rush and we're in this very established publishing industry
Hmm.
that now has like almost monoliths that are being erected in the industry, like things you just know, like the pay to play,
Hmm.
like there are all these kind of rules that are starting to appear now. I liken it to the difference between the Wild West, where it was all like sort of vigilante justice and
Yeah.
and sheriffs and stuff, and now it's like we're becoming states, guys. Like we are
Okay.
starting to form rules. There's more predictability.
Hmm.
The industry is a little bit more saturated, and the way that you become an author for life now is different than it was in 2017 and 16.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, how do we change what we need, the rules that we need to understand and play by? How do I think more about running a profitable author business
Yeah.
rather than thinking about like trying to hit this takeoff point or like, become number one on like how do I run a sustainable business that'll make me an author for my lifetime? And
Yeah.
that's what this book is about.
That's awesome. It's super needed because I think there's a lot of confusion out. I mean, like with any kind of industry change, there's still the old voices
Yep.
kind of like saying like this still exists, it's still working for us, you should keep doing it.
Yep.
And then there's the like reinvention voices of people like reinventing themselves and being like, no, no, now I have the new pattern to it. So I think it's
Yep.
great to like, I love that you're settling into that.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say, like, if you're open to giving us like a small preview,
Yeah.
what would you say are like the one or two like big, I mean, I'm sure there's a thousand big things from the book, but what would you say are like the one or two things that like an author could be like, okay, that's something I need to hear that I should walk away with?
Yeah, I don't think we consider enough how the majority of the author community is actually in research and development phase of their business still. So, like,
Interesting.
not understanding that all businesses form like There is a structure in business theory and in industrial and organizational psych theory called the phases of a business. It's the
Yeah.
organizational growth curve, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a absolute staple of understanding how to run businesses effectively, and it
Yeah.
has these different phases in it that you transition through depending on what the demand is for your product. And I think a lot of authors, because we were fully seated in the gold rush, we just sort of assume that demand is going to happen no
Yeah.
matter what, and not realizing that even during the gold rush, there still was a ton of people publishing where there was no demand, no obvious demand for their books.
Yeah.
So we've learned how to run businesses in a model where we're not considering the fact that if there is no demand for your books, you're speculating and not investing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way that you think about making money decisions and about how do you exist in a research and development phase, which is phase one of the author
Yeah.
business, like how do you make decisions differently when you are assuming, well, clearly there must be demand for my book out there because I like it. And
Yeah.
my five beta readers liked it. And so therefore there must be thousands and thousands of people out there that liked it.
Yeah. I
I was
just
like,
have to find
well,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just need to
Yeah.
find them. And I'm like, okay, well, if we take the research and development phase mentality, then we say, okay, that becomes the experiment.
Yeah.
Now, instead of investing $40,000 in something and hiring all these PR companies that do it, and et cetera, it's like, wait, there are small steps that you can take to test whether demand is there or not.
Yeah.
And if demand is not there, trying to force demand where it is not showing itself to you is operating in the wrong phase of business.
I love
So
that.
you should continue to be in R&D, which means, oh, the book did not sell. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything about me. It doesn't mean I'm a bad author or I'm not marketing enough or I'm not a good business owner. It literally means, great, let's write another book.
Yeah.
Like, let's get on to, and then let's take our results in a much more big picture format rather than trying to narrow down so much onto like, why is this book not selling? Sometimes the answer is because it's just not.
Yeah.
And let's move on and like we've done a good postmortem, great. Now let's try to write the next book that might have a chance at, like shoot the arrow at the target,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I was watching the Hulu has a new movie out about the forming of Bumble. Have you seen this? The movie's called
No, but I've
Swiped.
heard about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really interesting movie. But when they start the internet company that I think builds Grinder, maybe I can't remember which one they build, but he's the first one of the first dating Tinder. They built Tinder, the first dating app, and but he has 40 internet companies all going at the same time, and they have a staff meeting. They're like, which one are we talking about? So
Yeah.
it's like, but is that research and development phase where he's like
Yeah.
throwing everything at he's like, what is going to work? What
Yep.
is going to stick? And I think, so just a question about that. I find this startup phase, and I know not everybody does, but many of us do. I find the startup phase exhausting.
Yeah.
And I think, what you're describing feels like why a lot of authors burn out.
Yes.
So
Yes. They
yeah,
try to do too much, right? They're not thinking about the ROI of their time. They try to
yeah,
do too many things, doing all of the things to try to make the book sell, including like little tiny things like if you're not making 100% profit on your book, like 100% of what you invested into it in
yeah,
order to start it, why are you making audiobooks? Because there is no like known demand for this
yeah,
book yet. And so you don't know if there's going to be demand for this investment that you're going to make into the book, your time included in the investment, right?
yeah,
So how about we continue down the road of writing and releasing until we have a demand pocket that we see is very visible. And then we say, great, now I'm going to invest all this time and money that I have in my back pocket because I have not been over investing in
yeah,
every single book that comes out, assuming that every book will sell well, right? And instead say, because there's sort of two responses that people get when we start talking about the saturation point in the
hmm,
market. One is, oh my God, there's so many books. I don't know how to do, like that sort of
yeah,
like, I don't know how to get my books to be seen.
yeah,
And then there's that feeling of like, if I don't, there's something wrong with me, right? And it's like, no, that's just the way that saturation works. If you write a book and release it and it doesn't sell, I mean, yes, it is frustrating, but it's
Hmm.
almost like we want to have the day of frustration and then move on to the next book because we know that it's possible still for the next one to take off.
Yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
level of emotional investment and expectation that we have in the books that's often the reason we burn out because we keep doing, like I say, there's math
Hmm.
in achieving an author life because you think if you put two blocks of time in, you'll get two worth of outcome out. And
Yeah.
then when you start seeing one outcome, you're like, well, let me do four now, so I could get
So
two.
I
And
get,
it's
yeah,
like, nope, you're still going to get one. And then you do eight and you get one, and you do 16 and you
yeah,
get one. And that's when you burn out. It's not
yeah.
when you just work a lot.
And then you get your soul crushed because
Yes.
you've identified your personhood with the book that you wrote,
Yes. Yeah.
not thinking that you can like let go of that book and go write another one.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
you feel so tied to what happens to it. And again, there's a way to do a lot of emotional investment in a book that can still yield that way of thinking, but it
Yeah.
is all it means that you have to think about the books in more of a long-term sense.
Yeah.
So rather than taking it as this one-time thing where if it doesn't sell at the day of release and the 2 weeks after that I'm somehow this big failure or the book is a failure or I'm never going to make it as a writer, it's like, no, you've got like conservative estimate, you've got 60 more shots at this.
Yeah.
Like consider this is one way not to make a light bulb and then let's go make another freaking light bulb. Like
Yeah.
it's and I don't mean don't be emotionally invested. I mean as a business owner, you have got to be at least a little bit disconnected from the outcomes and not identify your whole core identity with how your books sell.
Yeah, because but it's so hard because I think
Yeah.
that, that identity of what makes me an author
Yeah.
is like, it's the question we're always asking is like, when can I call myself a
Yeah.
success? Even without the title. It's like, when can I say I'm successful? And, I think there's also a defeatist mentality that's like, well, I'm successful just because I wrote this book. And so there's also like a backing off
Yeah.
of the goal. Does that make sense? That
Yeah.
I think can be equally as sad and hard in that,
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And it's funny because I was just gonna say, and you really nailed this in like a different example than I was gonna give, but the same core like process. When we have emotional balance issues and issues from our past around success
Yeah.
and around the way that we think about ourselves, and I can tell you this 100% for sure. No amount of success is going to make us feel successful if we don't feel successful.
A hundred
Like
percent.
there's
Yeah.
no amount of money you can make that's going to be like, "Oh, now my
Now
dad
I've made it.
finally loves
Yeah.
me." Yeah, it's like, "No, no, no."
Why
No.
you got to bring dads into it, Becca?
But we don't realize that subconsciously, psychologically, we are trying to please something, not someone, because I think that's where a lot of people get caught up, right?
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, but my dad loves me." And I'm like, "Right, this isn't about your dad.
Yeah.
This is actually about a old pattern like computer code in your brain
Hmm.
that's representing a moment when you did not get and yes, there are some of us whose dads still don't love us, and that's a whole different conversation that I can't fix. But the old version of that, like
Yeah.
let's say 12-year-old who brought the trophy home from their state football championship, and dad was like, meh,
Yeah.
you could have got a college scholarship, bro, like what, or whatever, right? I know
Yeah.
12
Yeah.
years old, you're not gonna come, but like
I've seen
that,
some 12-year-olds get that kind of
yeah,
punishment.
that's true.
Yeah.
But my moment of highest level of stress causes some representation in the future. No matter what my dad thinks about me today, no matter what my mom thinks about me or my spouse thinks about me today, it's these old moments that are
Yeah.
like echoing that make us feel not worthy. And I don't think, or that we feel too worthy and it's scary to feel too successful. That's why I
Yeah.
said like your example was true. The two of them are opposites of each other. It's that I am now successful and that scares me,
Yeah.
or I am not successful and now I get more successful and I still don't feel successful. I'm scared I'm never going to feel that way. And I say like, yeah, yeah, but you won't. Like you could
Yeah.
make 10 million, 20 million, $100 million, and you're still not going to feel that contentment if you can't feel it now. Like if
Yeah,
you can't
it's
feel content now, you
yeah,
can't
it's
feel
so
content in the
funny. Like
future.
I'm thinking, my dad died when I was 21. And he was like a world-changing force who like
Mm,
he built hospital systems for entire countries and he like
wow.
developed surgical procedures and he wrote books and like he had like 100 articles and like all this stuff, spoke at like international conferences. And when I first started my career, not even writing, but just my career, there was nothing I could do to reach that level of expectation. And then when I started writing, I carried that into my books. And so like I would put out a book and I would get like all 5-star reviews and people would be like, this is great. And I'd have other authors come to me and be like, hey, this is working. You should put advertising dollars behind it. And I'd be like, no, it's garbage. It's garbage. And it was just like, it's like you're saying though, I was bringing baggage into my writing that was like
Yep.
then applying to my definition of success. And it didn't really matter what I
Yep.
did. That like, yeah, I used to say the phrase I came up with in therapy was I'm chasing the mirage
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah.
success. I'm chasing the mirage of because no matter how close I got to what my ideal was, it got farther away.
Yep.
And it was never tangible. It was always this, right? But it kept me, like you're talking, it kept me in startup phase
Yep.
for like 7 years. I was just in startup phase. I'm always starting new things. I'm always chasing after new things. I can never like actually settle into something and understand it. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just to give an example of what
Yes.
you're talking about. Yeah,
Yes, that this is the stuff that we don't realize that we carry with us is usually the stuff that holds us back from the feelings that we're chasing. It's not, sometimes it isn't even the success. Like sometimes you can have success,
yeah,
but you can't feel successful or you
yeah,
can't feel content. And so that to me is like, and we don't talk a ton about this in the book, but it is one of the segments of like, why do I not feel successful, right? Is one of the
yeah,
chapters. And what I've done is I've kind of taken like a whole part, a big question, and broken it down into like different tools that we might need or like different things that we could learn. And so underneath that, why am I not successful? Why don't I feel more successful? Is the type of person who would feel successful when they have done success is a really healthy, actualized, very like self-aware person.
yeah,
What I see the most often are people who are extremely successful who don't feel successful,
yeah,
right? So like or people who continue to get little pieces of success and think that that feeling of success is still so far down the road. So I kind of talk directly to those people and I'm like, look, you can make $100 million and still feel like I would be way more comfortable if I could just make 200 million.
yeah.
Like that is a real way to feel. And if you don't heal that now, it's not going to feel, you're not going to magically feel that feeling when you hit 100 million.
Yeah, and like you're saying, it keeps you paralyzed in these
Yep.
phases of your writing that you can never get out of because you're
Yeah.
just but it's not, it's about your own emotional health, not necessarily about the work. The work may be
Yes.
great, the work may be trash, but you can't see it either way because you're
Yep.
like stuck in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Part of what I love about what you're talking about is that in the premise of the Kickstarter in the book is that success is still possible.
Yeah.
So a
Oh,
lot of people
100%.
right now feel like this is over, success is no longer possible. So would you mind just talking about that for a minute? That
Yeah. I don't think people realize sometimes how much we get caught in our version of the timeline, like our version of the
hmm
story that we're in. And I use Freddie Mercury as an example a lot, where like if you had talked to Freddie Mercury like 2 or 3 years into his like real big push for success, right?
Yeah.
He would have been like, he was positive, so he probably wouldn't have used these words, but it would have been easy for him to say like everybody slams doors in my face as people call me names,
Yeah.
nobody likes me, none of my records take off, people don't like what I'm doing. Like you hear all, and it would have been easy. Again, he did not feel this way, and if you watch the movie, like his movie, you know what I mean. He always knew. right?
Yeah.
But again, that's
Almost to a delusional level. He
almost to a
always
delusional
there.
way, which I think is not a bad thing to feel.
No, yeah. I
But
wish I
I
had
would
it.
rather see people be hopeful delusionally.
Yeah.
And honestly, so what if you believe it's going to happen and you die before it does? So what? Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't
Yeah.
it be amazing to just be able to keep that hope in front of you all the time? And here's the thing. There's no amount of failure you can have that predicts you will always have failure.
Yeah.
That's a hot hand fallacy that this bothers me so much about authors. There's so many logical fallacies that they employ to understand the world that they don't realize they're employing.
Yeah.
Hot hand fallacy. You're a sports person, right? So
Hmm.
you'll get this. Hot hand fallacy for anybody who doesn't know what this is if you watch a basketball game and you see somebody make 10 shots in a row, the commentator's always like, "Oh, he's got a hot hand. She's
He's
got a
on
hot hand.
fire.
They're
Yeah.
on fire,"
Yeah.
right? And it's like, well, they actually did a fair amount of studies on this, and there is no such thing as a hot hand. It
No.
still is just random, like it still
Yeah.
is just random chance whether they make the shots or not.
Hmm.
There's no such thing as a
Yeah.
hot hand. And
They actually have a
but
50% chance of it. It's either
it
going to go
still
in or
is
it's
just
not. Yeah.
50-50. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there is no hot hand.
Yeah.
And it's a logical fallacy, but it's one that feels real comfortable to us
Hmm.
because when we see a lot of shots getting made in a row and there starts to be an energy in the room, we're like, oh, we are feeding his ability to shoot, and we are
Yeah.
like we're
We're
participating in
participating. Yeah.
this. And then if you're the shooter, you're like, everybody with me, like,
Yeah.
this is this big deal. And but it is a logical fallacy that there's any such thing as a hot hand. It is a logical fallacy that there is any such thing as predetermined luck for
Yeah.
you. Like and I don't think writers understand that they are participating in this because it's like, well, I'm trying to make meaning out of my story.
Yeah.
And so if I do four failed launches, I'm like, well, I'm a storyteller. What story would I tell about this? And I'm like, it depends on where you are in the freaking
Yeah.
timeline,
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Like if you're too early in the timeline and you tell the story of the timeline behind you, you're going to be like, I'm going to fail for sure. But
Yeah.
if you let yourself believe and act as though it could be possible, then you have just as much chance of success in the future.
Yeah.
Like it is not a predictable thing. And so my desire for people to feel like they could have success is that if you can do the mindset work to prepare yourself for the resilience that will come if you don't get it, right? Like if something doesn't happen and you
Yeah.
recognize that you always have agency, there is no such thing as something that has been just determined for you and that's it. There's no other option, right? Unless we're talking about things like health, right? Where I'm not going to say to somebody who gets a cancer diagnosis, like, you could just think your way out of that. Like, other
Yeah.
people might
That's
say that.
different. There's
I'm
things
not
out of
going
your
to say that.
control that
Yep,
like aren't, yeah, have nothing to
things
do
out
with
of your
you.
control.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when it comes to the probability of could you write something that would take off, because you don't know why you haven't taken off yet, you
Hmm.
cannot predict 100% for sure that you will not take off in the future. Some people have 25, 30, 35-year research and development phases, phase ones of their business,
Yeah.
because they just had to experiment around enough to know themselves well enough or figure out their audience well
Hmm.
enough or wait until the right luck and timing. There are people who are writing good books, who are potentially even writing great books. I've seen it happen where they launch at the wrong time or with the wrong cover, the wrong genre or
Yeah.
whatever, and they just don't hit the luck and timing correctly. Loki is in charge, right? So
Yeah.
like just can't predict. But there is no way to predict for sure that you will not have success in the future. And so
Yeah.
therefore acting as though you might is for me is just the only way of anticipating, because it is really a hot hand situation. It is still a new set of odds every time you start a new thing. So like I just think people don't understand sometimes the big picture of
Yeah.
what's actually going on in the industry and just how little has been decided for us already,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of Seth Godin's book, The Dip,
Oh, right, right, right.
where
Yep.
he talks about like How do you like, because he talks about how like everybody before they succeed goes through a dip where like it
Yep.
gets really bad. And he's
100% of
like,
people.
how do you know if you're going to fail? Well, you
Yep.
just stop. If
You
you
just
stop
stop.
in the dip, it's over. You fail.
Yep.
And he's like, and so many people stop in the dip. And he's like,
Yep.
that's fine. You just know that like, well, how do you know how long it's going to take to get through the dip? He's like, well, you'll know when you're out of it.
Yes,
He's
exactly.
like, you'll know
Yep.
when you if you just keep innovating and
Yep.
just keep moving forward, when you're
Yep.
out of the dip, you know. Yeah, and it just reminds me of what you're saying is like, how long does it take? How long should I fight for this? How long should I? It's like, well, how long are you emotionally prepared to go? Like,
Yes.
yeah.
And I don't think it's a how much do you want it question,
No,
because
it's
to
not at
me,
all.
like,
Yeah,
I don't think that it's a motivation issue. I do actually think it's an understanding and a
yeah,
mindset issue, because if you understand how the industry works in terms of like there are way too many factors to
hmm,
just only be relying on your own intelligence and how good of a book you've written.
yeah.
Like there are so many things that might make you not sell, but it shouldn't keep you from trying again, because
Trying
it's
again.
not predictive. It's
Yeah,
not like no amount of failure behind you predicts that there's no hot hand or bad
yeah.
hot,
It's
right?
not a
Like
thing.
there's no
There's no hot
black
hand.
hole
Yeah,
hand either.
yeah.
Like
There's no yips either. There's
there's
no
no
such thing as the
yips.
yips. Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
no. Yeah.
the mindset stuff that I think people worry about, like that somehow they're in that much control of the universe, right? It's like
I wish.
this is so much bigger than us. This is so much bigger than us. And
Yeah,
and again, not to say, because I want to be cautious about sort of writing off some of the things people are worried about. It's not to say that people's livelihoods might not go away. It's not to say
yeah,
that there is no possibility of like losing what you have, or etc. It that absolutely might happen, but there's nothing to be done about it in terms of like you can't prevent that from happening by making really smart choices in the present day. What's going to happen in the future is going to happen, but it's
yeah,
not worth worrying about for me. Like, I want to see more people worry about trying to keep their hope alive and keep their enjoyment of their process alive, and keep thinking about how do I learn? How do I innovate? How do I do things differently? Whatever has happened in the past,
yeah,
it's very possible that it's not meaningful at all. And so if I assume that I could learn something new and do something different and try something new, research and development phase could be a couple of decades if it has to be. But it will also be, this is because this is the other part about the business phases. When you get into the later phases where you start to run a more mature business.
hmm,
So I ran an experiment about this just to, I was like, I just want to see if my intuition is correct about
yeah,
this. I was like, what's the question that if I asked the phase five mature business authors, like, what do you most wish that you could do? And I was like, I have an intuition about what this might be, but I wanted to ask like just a ton of phase five people. So I asked
yeah.
a ton of phase five people. They all want to go back to phase one.
Yeah.
They all want to go back to
It's
the
fun.
time when there was no stakes,
Yeah.
because it's so fun and you can experiment,
Do
and then
whatever the hell you
nobody
want.
has any expectations, and
Hmm.
you don't have to worry about 20 people that work for you, and you don't
Yep.
have to, like you don't have to,
No
there isn't so much
responsibilities.
pressure,
Yeah.
there's no responsibility. They all want to go back to phase one. So I'm like, those of us who are in phase one and we see it as this big oppressive thing,
Hmm.
this is a grass is greener situation. And again, my favorite phrase about this is the grass is greener where you water it,
Yeah.
not on the other side of the fence.
It's a good
It's not,
phrase.
it's greener where you water it. So if
Yeah.
you can learn how to see the upside, and I'm not talking toxic positivity. I'm not saying
No,
don't
you're not
think there's
saying
a
think it and make it.
problem.
That's not
No,
what,
I'm
yeah,
not
that's not what you're talking
saying,
about. Yeah.
ignore things or whatever. I'm saying feel the sadness if it's there to be felt, but feel sadness the way that you should feel sadness. Feel it in community with other people.
Yeah.
Be sad about the release if it didn't go well. Be frustrated about it if it didn't go well, but don't stay there. Like if
Yeah.
you
Take a
stay
step
there,
back, figure out
yep,
why. Yeah.
move along,
Yeah.
find a new hope, right? Like
Hmm.
allow yourself to experience something. Because I just don't think people understand sometimes how dangerous it is for us to focus too much on what we are afraid might happen.
Yeah.
Like the longer we just swim around in fear,
Yeah.
The more controllable we are, the more out of control of our own agency we are, the more you are afraid of something, the more likely you are to end up somewhere you don't want to be.
Yep.
I don't think people realize that. It's like every time you feel fear, I would rather see you stop, drop, and regulate, like just drop everything, regulate your physical body, get back into a place where you can feel hope again, no matter how bad it is. Like it's
Hmm.
the emotions need to be felt and cleared and understood, but it
Yeah.
is not a time for us to just swim around in what might happen and fear. We've got to be alert, we've got to be present, we've got to be creative, we've got to be like there's so much need for us to be present to our
Yeah.
creativity and our hope right now, I think.
And just to stress that word, because like, I've had a lot of career disruptions I'm 48. I've worked a lot of different jobs. I still have a day job. Like I get it. And I've been fired suddenly. I've had like and those things are so there's no way to know they're coming. There's no way to prepare for them. Things just happen, right? Like sometimes you just get sick and all you can do is I hear you saying is the key is being disciplined and strategic and intentional with your moment right now
Yeah.
because you can't control the future, but you have who you are right now and how you function right now is something you do have control over. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talk a little bit in the book. Those of you who know Claire Taylor and know the work she's done in Enneagram, I licensed some of her content to be able to
Oh,
use it
nice.
in the work because there is an element of like how each type of person in the Enneagram handles their fear
Hmm.
is a slightly different experience. So like some people really need to like swim around in it and just like let it run their life for a little bit and then get to a place where they know how to be in control again. And some people can't feel it and don't want to feel it and
Yep.
think that it's dumb to feel it. And some people it makes them feel like they have to be in control of everybody. Right? So everybody handles fear a little bit differently. And it's really important to know about yourself. Am I doing this in a healthy way?
Hmm.
And so we talk a little bit about that as well in the book. Claire's
That's
stuff
awesome.
also is excellent. You can go
Yeah,
look at her stuff,
Claire's
but
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's so smart.
Yeah.
And for me, I think understanding how I particularly like I'm a two Enneagram on the cusp of like three, two and between two and three, and a lot of my fears are about people.
Hmm.
So like when I'm listening to people talk about the future and how things might go wrong, like my immediate thought is for the people that I care about and that I want them to be okay and want
Yeah.
them to be safe. And I had to
Like, how can I
realize,
help these people? Yeah.
yes, like
Yeah.
how do I make it okay for them? And I had to realize about the fear that I was feeling. It's like, but that's a false sense of fear
Hmm.
that is not actually helping me be more present to help them. It's only making me be more frustrated and stressed and less hopeful. And once I realized this, like, the grass is greener where you water it thing is where I like focus my energy right now. And I'm like, okay, I know objectively I don't want some of these things in the future to happen and to affect the people I care about. So
Hmm.
how do I do something about it right now? I don't keep swimming in the fear about it.
Yeah.
I water the freaking grass around me
Yeah.
because that's how I can make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make the future better, is that I'm being present in the moment. And so knowing that about myself helped me to discipline my fear. And I feel like there's a lot that I think we can do to help ourselves be more present and also prepared, like
Hmm.
conscious. I'm not suggesting we stop being conscious. I want to be conscious, but I want to be as usable as I can be. And I
Yeah.
think fear just makes me completely useless.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that was a
No,
learning
that's great.
curve.
It's funny. I'm a 6 on the Enneagram,
Yeah, I totally see that.
which I live in,
Do you know what your subtype is? What your instinct type is?
I'm the counter type.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm afraid of everything and I have to touch it. That's
Yes.
like
They're the
most.
like move towards the fear
Yep, I
people.
got to run at the
Yeah.
fear. My son is a 6 too, my 22-year-old,
Yeah.
and he's my wife and I've done the Enneagram for, probably a decade now,
Oh,
maybe
nice.
longer. But He's the I can't remember what the type is called, but
Social or the
he's
self-preservation?
the social type.
Oh,
So
the
he
social.
needs
So
to
he's
like
like group
he's
interest.
like, hey, everybody, let's come over here and hide in this bunker together. Like,
Yeah.
and so, but we had to learn, like, I think as sixes, talking about fear of the future, we had to learn that it's like that's just kind of the water we swim in. Like,
Yes.
and it's like we joke about how like the Hulk in the first Avengers movie has this moment. They're like, how do you turn the anger on and off all the time? And he's like, oh, the trick is to realize that I'm always angry, which
Yeah.
is my wife. My wife's an eight.
Oh, she's an
So
eight.
yeah, so
Yeah.
she's like, I'm always angry. For Jackson, it's like the trick is to understand that we're always worried.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so you
and
just have to
there's
learn how to like,
variables of
this
it,
is
right?
where I am. Like this
Hmm.
is yeah, there's variables of
Yeah.
yeah, but
Like
for
being
me,
vigilant is
yeah.
beneficial. Like being vigilant can be really beneficial.
Oh yeah.
Being terrified is where we're not beneficial anymore. So like
Yeah.
the range between those two, I think is really important. Yeah, no, no, I'm
Yeah,
glad.
it's like what
Yeah.
we're talking like, it's very much like what we're talking about. When I'm in control of my anxiety and being strategic and focused in the moment about the business I'm running, my anxiety is my superpower. I
Yep.
see things before anybody else sees them because
Yep.
I watch all the possibilities. When I
Yep.
am letting my anxiety control me, then I'm running from one thing to the next because I have
Yeah.
to touch everything. And so it's that like, where it's really about my success is so much a pattern of my own emotional health
Yep.
and where I am in my
When
own.
you're a number one
Yeah.
context too, right? Like you have high context,
I'm number one strategic. I'm number two
strategic,
context.
two context. So the high context thing, it's so important when sixes have that fear about like what is it that you're actually afraid of? Because I think anything can
Oh,
make me worry,
yeah.
right? If I can, as a six, if I can remind myself that the stuff that I can control, I do control.
Hmm.
So, like anything that I am capable of having an impact on, and I think this is true for eights as well, like that I am doing the work to make sure that my family is safe or that I'm safe
Yeah.
or that our savings or whatever, right?
A
Like
hundred percent.
if
Yeah.
there's something that could be done to prevent this, I am.
Yeah.
And then just understanding, I don't know if you've ever read, and this book is not, there's some problematic stuff in it, but there's this book about patterning called The Same as Ever by Morgan Housel.
Yeah, I've read it.
And
Yeah.
yeah, he's like the high context person. It's
Hmm.
wild to watch, like number one context probably. But it's this idea of like what patterns are repeatable. The most repeatable patterns actually have to do with the way humans are afraid of things.
Yeah.
And the least repeatable patterns are all the things that we keep trying to predict all the time.
Hmm.
Like, when is the stock market going to crash? When will the housing market crash? When,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, those are the things we spend so much time worrying about. Is my book going to sell or not? It's like, how about we count on the fact that readers are always going to want to read books of some kind?
Yeah.
And we also know for sure, like 100% for sure, that you can release books that don't do well and then release books that do well. Like
Yep.
that is 100% possible. So what if instead of focusing on this very limited set of data that I'm really just using to tell myself a story to reinforce some kind of
Yeah.
old pattern that I believe about
Building the
myself?
myths that explain the world.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. How about we just QTP that? Like we question
Yeah.
the premise of that story. Is there another possible story? Well, Becca just gave you one.
Yeah.
The story is there's no such thing as a hot hand when it comes to luck. There's just doesn't exist. It could run out at any time. It could start at any time.
Yeah.
It's random.
Yeah.
Like it's just random.
Yeah. It's so funny how we get caught in our own. I'm really as strategic context individualization. I'm fantastic at seeing everybody else's myths.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's what makes me. I've been a change manager, organizational developer, my like outside of my writing career.
Yeah.
I'm really good at it because I can walk in and be like, I know your story. I see where all of your myths are. Like I'm here with you. But for myself, it's really hard. So like I can see
Yeah.
everybody else's, but not myself. But so I remember I published my first series, and I ran the books out I published five in 2 years. And I had a whole bunch of five-star reviews. They're going really well, but they didn't take off and sell. And so I told myself the myth they didn't sell because I'm garbage, because I
Right.
write garbage, because I'm garbage, I write garbage. I'm never going to sell. Like I had all these myths. And I remember one of my friends pulled me aside at one point. He was like, I really like those books. And it kind of hurts my feelings when you say that. And I'm like, well, And he's like, no, like I really like them. I enjoy them very much. And like, when you say the books are garbage, you're like kind of telling me that I like garbage. And he was like, maybe there's another story here. I was like, what? He's like, did you advertise these at all? I was like, no. He's like, okay, well, maybe there's a story about like if you don't advertise your books, they're not going to sell. I was like, well,
That's
okay. Yeah,
awesome.
that's a
That is
fair.
so
But
awesome.
it's like what you're saying, there's like myths that we tell ourselves that we
Yeah.
live in. Yeah. And like the
Yeah.
effects going back to the Kickstarter you've got coming affects those like phases that we live in.
Yeah.
And so coming to understand the bigger pillars of like what's actually happening in the world can help us reinvent the stories we tell ourselves. I love
Yep.
that. Yeah.
1000%.
So tell me the name of the Kickstarter again so that when we
So
launch this, everybody can go watch it.
So it's Dear Writer, You Still Need to Quit
Okay.
is
Perfect.
the name. So if you search my name, there is a second one that will come up about writing to market. We are going to do the seven deadly skills of writing to market at some point for
Okay.
sure. Probably next spring
Yeah.
once we get all that stuff
I
lined
was
up. But
excited about that because I'm about to make my first real attempt to write to market in a couple months.
it
So I
is
was.
it so I have a video out about that if you want to watch it where I
Yeah, I'll go
talk
find
about
it.
the skills.
Yeah.
And the seven skills of writing to market and what I've essentially identified about anything that we talk about people being excellent at is there's usually some kind of like hidden skill that we
Yeah.
don't understand that people need to have in order to be really excellent at this thing. And so, in just kind of analyzing all of the stuff out there about writing to market,
Hmm.
and then not writing to market, right? All
Yeah. Yeah.
both of those, and trying to identify what these skills are that people have who are really excellent at it. So there's a video on the quick cast about it.
Nice. I'll go check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So I've got some questions from the community
Okay.
because I mentioned that I was talking to you and they were like, what are the questions? So I'm just going to ask them as they phrase them. The first
Okay.
one is, how did you get to be so awesome? Like Tom Holbrook for that question.
That is a really good question. How did I get to be so awesome? So, I mean, I will say I think a lot of the work that I have done has been not of my own design. Like, I credit an awful lot of where I've gotten to from just doing the thing that's in front of me to do and not worrying too much about what's coming
Okay.
and what is and what isn't. And I sort of joke about this. I can't remember if we talked about this last time or not.
I just gotta say, that's a very healthy answer for a 2-3 on the Enneagram.
I
Because
know.
an
I
unhealthy
know.
2-3 on the Enneagram is like, well, it's because I've always been awesome.
I know. I
So
know.
very
I
healthy
mean,
of you. That's really impressive. Yeah.
I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work on my fears, but so I have a story. I don't tell this story a lot,
Oh, I'm so
but
excited.
yeah, but because you have a church background at some point in your history as well, we've talked about
Yeah.
this. So I
I have a church ghost. I like
am
to call
not
it
a
the ghost that follows me around.
yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
I have a religious ghost.
I have a church
Um
haunting. Yeah.
yes, like same. I still don't know how I feel about it, but I know that I'm
Mm.
not. Yeah, anyway. But I went to seminary on accident. And I have this like this weird story about I was running a nonprofit and I needed to get a degree in like leadership and I specifically needed to get a degree that had and organizational management as part of the degree and my boss at the time had gone to Bethel and she went
Okay.
to undergrad at Bethel and I was like awesome, I'll apply, they have this great leadership program, whatever. Got in, signed up for classes, went to the first day of class. I don't think I looked at a single piece of paperwork because it I wasn't like intending to apply. I had already been to grad school once before that, right? I
Yeah.
did an
Yeah.
MFA, part of an MFA. And that process was like, really analytical and intensive. This was just like Lynn said they have a good program. I'm like, great, sounds good. Applied, got accepted, showed up for the first day of class, and I walked into orientation. And they said, "Welcome to Bethel Seminary." And I went, "What?" And everybody laughed. Everyone laughed, but it was because they thought I was joking.
It's really funny.
And I was so not joking. I
Yeah.
totally did not. It's not like I wasn't religious or anything at the time. It was more just that, like, I am not what you would call like a normal sort of Christian
Mm.
person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I never felt like I would ever be a leader in any on any sense other than just like I was a musician and so I led worship a lot.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I went to seminary and I was always the weird one in the cohort. It was like the one who was like, well, maybe. And one of my friends joked with me because I was writing romance at the time and I was trying to get published. I was like submitting to
Mm.
Harlequin and stuff like that. One of my friends at the time was like, "Well," and then Becca went to seminary because that's what all romance novelists do first is they go to seminary. And I was like, I mean, but they actually used to use my story. And this is hilarious. They used to use my story in the recruiting office at Bethel because
Really?
they'd be like, "Oh yeah," because I
That's
I was like,
hysterical.
I told them the story at one point, and Joe was like, "Oh, we're gonna use that," and then they were using my story because they were like, Anyone can end up at seminary, even if you don't mean to." When they would tell my little story, it was so hilarious.
That's
And I was
great.
just like, I mean, it's funny, but also it's evidence that I trust so often. I just trust.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, is this what I'm supposed to do? Okay. And I just sort of walk in and do the thing. And I don't think a lot about whether I should be there or not. Like I just am like, oh, is this what life has led me to? Right?
Yeah.
Is this what's been put in front of me to do? Okay, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to be good at it and I'm just going to do it. Right?
I think that's the key that you're leaving out of the story here is that when you do something, you find yourself in a place doing something, you do it with excellence. And I
Yes, I
think
try to
that's,
do as
yeah,
best as I can, right? Like that's the
yeah,
2, 3 part of me, right? Like I I I really, really want to show up fully in everything that I do, and
yeah.
I want everything that I do to be the best that I possibly could have given. And it really matters to me a lot that I am good at what I do and that I hone my skills and abilities. But I think part of what has been the magic of my life is sort of just from like I have connectedness and the Clifton strengths, right?
Yeah.
So I just trust that what's being put in front of me is the thing that's supposed to be there and I just do it. And I think that's how my life has gotten to where it's gotten to is I don't really try to control a lot.
Mm,
I mean, I really just am like, okay, is this where we're at now? Well, we're gonna make lemonade out of this shit.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry, can I swear?
You can cuss all you want.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
I was like,
Fuck
I
yeah. You
never
can cuss
know.
all you want. Yeah.
I never know,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. No, there's no
So
rules here.
that's
Yeah.
my best answer, I guess, for that question. But thank you. That's very kind.
I love
Yes.
that. I love that answer. And it's funny. I also went to seminary by accident, which is a story we can share sometime. Yeah. Yeah, very
We
similar.
should have a club. Like, we should have a club. I joke about now, I feel like we should have a club. I joke about naming, if I ever write a memoir, The Accidental Seminarian. So, like,
That's
we
really,
could actually have a club, The Accidental
that's
Seminarian.
really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. I was I'll tell the story real quick 'cause it's funny.
Yeah.
I was with my I was pre-med and I was studying for the MCAT and was very much chasing my dead
Your
father's
dad. Yeah.
legacy. And my I was dating, like I was engaged, and I kept getting these letters from the local seminary telling me, like, I wasn't opening them. I was just putting them on the desk. I had a stack of like 50 letters from the local seminary on my desk. And my wife comes, my then now wife, my fiance at the time, comes in and she's like, "What is all of this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I was like, I haven't even opened them." She opened them and they were like, somebody had applied me for a full scholarship, full room and board at to
That's
at
awesome.
tuition to the seminary because it was a new seminary and they were like trying to get students that were not your typical like religion philosophy majors, but like did other things. And so I had been recommended by somebody else of like, you need to scholarship this kid. And so they had been trying to get my attention for like 4 months.
Oh,
And I was
gosh.
like, I wasn't even opening the letters. And finally my wife was like, this is a big freaking deal. And I was like, okay. Like, man, it was one of the best
I
times of my
love
life.
that.
I loved it. I'm such a nerd. I would ask who is the hardest, most intense professor I can find. It was a great season because it was they were trying to build a reputation, so they brought in scholars from all over the world. Like it was
Oh,
great. Like I
wow.
got to sit with fun people. But
That's cool. Yeah, we've
yeah.
talked about a couple of the people that you ran into because of your
Yeah,
experience, and I was like, yeah, you had some fun. Like
yeah,
you
I had a
had
good time.
some,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
yeah.
yeah, I
I
didn't
like
leave the
that.
church because I didn't like church work. I left the church because church work didn't like me. So
Yeah.
they
Uh-huh.
don't like people that question things. Anyway, we want
Yeah.
that's not for today. Okay,
No, but
next
that is
question.
true. That
Yeah,
is true.
they didn't like
Your
me.
your your subtype of your six makes so much sense now out of because I knew a little bit of your background before. And
Yeah,
I'm like, oh no, this makes total sense because you have individualization, right?
it's
Like
number
that's one
three.
of your strengths. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I do
strategic
too.
context and restorative. So I'm always looking
Oh
to
my
fix it.
gosh, restorative indie.
Yeah.
That's the most SX6 subtype
Uh,
combo that you could have, right? Like it's just that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm always walking into places being like, "How can I fix this?" And they're
Yeah.
like, "Jeff, it's not broken." I'm like, "Oh, it's broken."
Oh, it is though.
It is. It
It
is.
is though.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. Next question. What are the pitfalls for someone with five of their top six strengths being green/strategic, and what advice do you have for them? There's actually
Yeah, the
three people that asked this in my Slack.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, so the green strengths, if people don't know what those are, they are the strategic thinking strengths.
Hmm.
And what commonly happens with writers who have a lot of strategic thinking strengths is that they have gotten really good at trying to find certainty and not very good at finding certainty, right?
Mm,
So, and some of that is a combination of like, um, certainty in an organization or in an industry like ours is very difficult to come by because it is intentionally nebulous because it's a entertainment industry and not like it's not the human body or something
mm,
that's like they've been studying this for hundreds thousands of years or whatever. Like no, this is like realistically nobody knows what they're doing, and if they say they do, they are lying to themselves, right?
yeah.
But what happens in creative pursuits and creative industries and competitive industries is that the rules are intentionally by the system, not by the people. This is important. Like they are hard to pin down and hard to understand.
Mm,
So people who have a lot of thinking strengths really struggle with finding certainty. So they
mm,
might go looking
yeah.
for 15 workshops on something and still not feeling competent, right? And one more workshop is going to fix it though. Like that's kind of the thought. Or like they'll think about something a lot and think about something a lot. And it really is a fundamental misunderstanding sometimes of what creates certainty.
Mm,
And it's because when we have done something a lot over the course of our lives and it's yielded us results in other ways, then we try to continue to do it that way over and over again, right? So
hmm.
if I think about something and then it gets me a result, and I think about something that gets me a result, that I apply that to my creative practice, but there's very little certainty in creative practice. And so what actually helps us to make progress and get better with thinking strengths is to intentionally make ourselves take action on behalf of what we learn. So, like, let's say every time you listen to a podcast, you should be doing something from that podcast that makes you take action on behalf of something that you learned instead of just collecting the information.
Yeah.
Every time you read pages in a nonfiction book, you should go apply that somewhere
Mm,
and start practicing the learning of it. Because really, it is the downside of being in a digital age where we have such high levels of access to thinking and processes of
mm,
learning, but we don't have a lot of people reminding us to take action on behalf of what we learn. And so, as a steward of my thinking strengths, I need to learn what actually causes certainty in me is probably action. It's
mm,
probably not thinking. It's probably not learning. It's probably, but people don't like this part. It's probably taking a chance on whether I made a mistake or not.
yeah.
Right. So there's a combination of if it's just a mindset thing, I need to shift my mindset to if I know if I took a class but I don't practice what I learned, I don't know it, I know of it.
Mm,
Like there's a difference between those things. And those of us who have a lot of thinking strengths tend to be really good at understanding, but not very good at practicing. So I want to try to reconnect the centers that lead me into taking action and having practice. But the upside though of having a lot of green strengths
hmm.
is that you will be wiser than people who don't. You will generally be correct more often when you do take action,
Oh, don't tell
just
the people that
because
asked this question that. This,
I know, right?
I'm just kidding.
I mean, but it
You know
is
who you are.
true.
I'm just
But it
teasing.
is
They are.
true.
They absolutely are. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just teasing you.
But
Yeah.
you have to practice it in order for it to become, in order for it to have an action point. Every strength has
Mhm.
an action point. It's just
Mhm.
that the green strengths action points require you to have courage
Yeah.
in order to see them. And I think because we're so used to finding certainty in other places after we input, after we learn, after
Mm,
we think, after we strategize, we're so used to that happening that we let ourselves get caught up in just how much information there is and how much learning and how much
mm,
thinking and how much talking, and then we forget, like, I should be prioritizing the writing. I should be prioritizing moving forward. I should be allowing myself to make mistakes. I should be
mm,
allowing myself to fail. But that sometimes is an old coding thing that we need to heal. So sometimes it's old coding,
mm.
sometimes it's ADHD. Sometimes it's
Gotcha.
perimenopause. Sometimes it is really having a lot of thinking strengths, but a lot of times it's just we haven't practiced taking action enough.
Gotcha. So we're
Yeah.
kind of frozen in the collection of
Yep.
information,
Hmm.
looking for certainty before we move forward. We
Yep.
actually just need to take a step forward. That's
Yep.
that's brilliant. Okay. Um, do people's strengths change over time?
So they should get better, right? Like
Okay.
you should become more the I think what people are looking for is like, do your strengths move around? Like they
Yeah, they're
want
like,
their
can I trade
yeah,
these
they
in for a
yeah,
different
they
set?
want to
Yeah.
send that these back and
Look,
get
I want
different
to send
ones.
context back a lot. I want to be like, can I get rid of this one
I
and
mean,
have another one?
so
Yeah.
let's use Jeff's strengths as an example, right? Let's say that Jeff, what's your like, do you have yours in front of you?
Yeah, they're right there. I'm
What's your like
strategic,
number 10? Like your number 10.
connectedness.
Okay, so let's say your connectedness, you want to be stronger. You want to have more of the trust that I was talking about. I'm a number
Yeah.
2 connectedness. You want to have more of the trust that I was talking about. So you're like, okay, I'm going to work really hard on my connectedness. The way you end up working on your connectedness is that you become strategic context individualization more by
Mm,
working on your context. It's really, really hard to isolate just connectedness to get better
gotcha.
at it. And I think what people think is that I'm good at my number 1 or number 2 because I used to practice them a lot. Like they
Yeah.
look backwards and they're like, I used to do that a lot, but I don't do this anymore. And or I used to be in a job that required that of me a lot, and they don't realize just how much practice you need in something to make it
Mm,
become a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strength. So will your strengths change over time? Absolutely. Some of the number 1 input behaviors that I have today would be unrecognizable to myself as a 25-year-old input.
hmm.
And I might have thought, well, I became more blah. No, no, no. My input got better. It got smarter.
Yeah.
It was voracious and smarter and more effective and productive ways than it used to be. It didn't get worse. Like your
Yeah.
high strengths don't get worse. So, but what people want to know is like, uh, will I have a different top 10?
Yeah. Can I
You
use them
know,
like trading cards? Can I take
yes.
5 of these and trade them
Yeah,
out? Yeah.
I mean, you definitely can't trade them out. And it's so funny because we have this conversation a lot when people retake the test and they come to me and I'm like, great. They'll say, I retook the test. I'm like, awesome. Come and see me and let me hear
Mm,
whether the new test is correct. Every once in a while, the new test will be sort of correct in the sense of like their top 10 moved around. But
mm,
it's always the one sleeper that came out of the middle of nowhere that they're like, I'm sure I have this. And I listen to them and I'm like, I don't think you have that. Like, and it's
really?
more because like the strengths that you have are so they get so much better faster.
Yeah.
That usually what happens is like, oh, well, I'm being a little bit more outgoing than I used to be, but I have high relator. And I'm like, right, but that means your relator got smarter. Not
Yeah.
that you suddenly have woo now. No, no, no. You just have a more effective relator than you
Yeah.
used to. Yeah.
That's really funny.
So do they change? Yeah, they should get better faster. They should get
Yeah.
exponentially better. But the order just it's so hard. It's so hard to get you to a place where your middle or lower strengths are actually coming up without
Mm.
making all of your other strengths just better also. Plus, the better, faster you get at the higher strengths, the more they should look unlike the bad stuff that other people do with it.
Yeah, I think part of what I hear you saying is that, the way to accentuate your strengths is to become a healthy and stronger version of yourself because as you personally grow, your strengths come out
Yep.
more.
And they
Yeah.
become so much more effective. Like
Yeah.
just exponential, the capacity for development in your strength areas. It's not like you could finish becoming a better context person so that you can finally become a better connectedness person.
Hmm.
You have no ceiling to your context.
Yeah.
You could work on it solid for the next 40 years and you're only going to get better at it, better,
Yeah.
faster at it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The key is I have to, like for me personally, I have to use it in a positive way.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother therapy session.
Yeah. Use
Uh,
it. Don't use it for evil, Jeff.
yeah,
Don't
I
use
was
it for
using my gifts
evil.
for evil for a long time.
Yeah.
So this goes into the question you kind of answered it, but I just want to harp on it because somebody did ask it.
Yeah.
When should you retake the strengths test?
So if you have had like maybe like 15 or 20 years pass,
Mm,
and you when you first took the test you were a different person, like you were, especially if you were under 28 years old, I'd be like, if you're 28 when you first took it and maybe 45 now, I would say let's have you retake the test probably.
mm,
But the problem is if you've done a lot of strengths training or you've internalized a lot of the information, you can't take the test anymore because you now know too much to
yeah,
be a
I feel like I
good.
could fake a woo. Woo is
Yes,
like my
like
last one. I feel like I could fake it though.
you could. I mean, you may not get it in your top five, but it definitely would
No,
ruin your
I
results.
I could get in my top 15.
Yeah, you could easily get it in your top 10. You could
Yeah,
easily get it in your top
yeah,
10, but then it would ruin the results. So, like,
yeah,
let's say you were shooting to get woo at number one, what would
mm,
end up happening is you'd probably get woo at 10, but
yeah,
then none of the rest of the strengths would work, right?
yeah,
But and you could even be doing it without realizing it. Like I have people who are like, I hate this empathy strength that I have. And so I'm just gonna not answer the empathy questions. But it's because you know the empathy questions now that you can do that. And I would
yeah.
say, let's instead, because I do this a lot with people where I'm like, go ahead and take the test. If you feel like you need to retake the test, please take the test. Like, don't let
Hmm.
me
Yeah,
stop you from doing it. But let's be objective about it after you took the test. Come back and see me. And then if there are strengths that you don't test with anymore because you don't like them, then we need to talk about that. We don't need to
yeah,
talk about the new test results. I need to know why you don't like your command. Let's
yeah.
talk about that, right?
And I'm laughing because I have and sometimes do live by the fallacy of if I can manipulate the result, the manipulated result is somehow magical
Is somehow
reality.
correct.
Like
Yeah, I'm like,
magic.
no,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
no.
no, you just manipulated the result. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
really
also
fascinating.
on in favor of retaking the test, right? Like my coaches remind me a lot. They're like, Becca, you've retaken the test a bunch. And I'm like, oh yeah, I retake the test because I want to see what will happen, right? I
Yeah.
want to see, see what results I will get. But I always sit with them for a while. I always talk to
Mm,
somebody else about it, and I'm always on the lookout for, do I want these results to be different for some reason? Because here's
mm,
just an example. Gallup does a lot of teaching about how, quote unquote, all writers have communication. They don't, by the way. Communication as a
yeah.
strength among writers is like 27 out of 34. So
Wow.
it rarely occurs among writers, but they really want writers to have high communication.
Hmm.
And I mentioned this to my trainer when I went back and got recertified in 2018. And I was like, well, actually, the data doesn't support that. The data with
Yeah.
writers doesn't support that all writers have high communication. And he's like, well, you have high communication. And I was like, right, but I have thousands of clients who don't. And they're really, really excellent writers. And the
Yeah.
talent of communication, while it is about verbal expression and expression of message, is not the only way to be a writer. So sometimes I'll have people come to me who are high communication or who are not high communication and like, why don't I have this?
Hmm.
Because I need it to be a writer. And I'm like, that's a mindset thing we need to talk about with you. There
Yeah,
is no such thing as a skill that makes you a bad writer, or a skill that means you'll never be a writer, or a
it's really good to
strength you
hear.
don't have that means you'll never be a writer.
Yeah,
This is a woundedness in you that we need to talk about and we need
yeah,
to heal over. And that's a really different conversation. So people who are genuinely interested in like, could my strengths change? I'm like, yeah, let's see what happens when you take the test. And then I'll talk to you for 30 minutes and listen and
hmm
try and code the results in my like listening. And if I think the test is accurate, we'll talk about it. But I very rarely will hear an accurate test that
hmm
changes the results significantly. Usually it'll like mix around your top 10.
yeah,
So like you used to be a number 7 strategic and now you're a 5 or a 4 or a 3. But
mm,
if you used to be a 7 and you're now testing as a 1, uh,
yeah,
I don't know about that. Like I just it is so hard to make a 1 or a 2 go away.
yeah.
It's really hard. You could have had a brain chemistry altering. It does happen. I've had clients with TBI who their personality is completely changed.
hmm
And we've done the test and it was true. Like their results are different.
Yeah.
So it depends so much contextually, but I would say don't not take the test because I said your strengths won't change.
No, I don't hear you saying that at all. I hear you
Yeah.
saying like, hey, be open to who you are, and the test
Yeah.
is a
What would
way
happen if we
to
just
have a
accepted your
conversation
strengths?
about who you are. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like what would change if we just accepted you as you are?
yeah. Um, okay, I've kept you here for a long time. Any
No, it was great.
any
This was
final
fun.
words for writers before we talk about
So I
links and
I
where we
know
can find you?
probably like you have a good community around your podcast. I think this is the most important thing I want writers to do. Like one of the things we're going to do in this Kickstarter is we're going to do the opportunity for you to buy a pop-up
Oh, nice.
location for me to come and do a talk to writers in your area. So like
Oh,
if you live somewhere that I haven't been yet and
I
you
love
really
that.
want me to come to like somebody said come to Portland, Maine and I'm like well actually in the Kickstarter you're going to be able to buy a pop-up so that the goal is you get to choose from a list of sort of pre-approved like states and countries because I got to know I can get there.
Yeah.
And
Singapore.
then yeah, I'm like I don't know how to get everywhere and
That's
I
really
don't know
funny.
but like there's a couple of countries I'm already going to and so we
hmm
have a list but like I had a client who was like come to Portland, Maine and I'm like okay, here's what we're gonna do. If you buy one of these pop-up levels, it's not like you don't pay for the whole event. You just pay for the right to choose the date
Nice.
and to narrow the time. So like 100% sure that I will schedule around your schedule wherever it is that we're going to go to.
Yeah,
And then I will do a lunch or dinner with that
I
person
love
on
this.
their
This is
own.
fantastic.
It's going to be so fun.
Yeah,
But then we are going to do a whole big pop-up event in that place where we try to get, 30 or 40 writers there
yeah,
because the goal is to encourage us to have in-person community more consistently.
yeah.
And so we're going to have a limited number of them. So if anybody really, really wants one, you need to get there probably on the first day because they're not going to be super expensive. The goal is
hmm
just you get the naming rights,
Yeah, yeah.
basically,
Yeah,
right?
you get
Like
to pick
kind
the
of
date
like
and
that.
time.
You
Yeah,
get to pick the date and
yeah.
time and then we'll go hang out for a couple of hours and I'll coach the whole time. I'm happy to coach
Nice.
them
I
over the
love it.
meal, or they can honestly, you can ask me about my favorite Disney characters. I don't care.
That's awesome.
You get to set the agenda. Um, but yeah, that I think that having community is going to be the most important thing that we can do, and
That's very cool.
in-person community specifically. So I'm
Yeah,
going to encourage people if you're not already meeting up with other people who are creative in your area to find people who you can be in person with and share creative energy and
yeah.
hopefulness and
I love
because
that.
we're going to need it. We're
Yeah,
going to need it.
I love it. Yeah, we say in the dialogue doctor community all the time that writing's a team sport. You
Yep.
got to have a team.
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome. So if they want to find your coaching, betterfasteracademy.com.
Yep.
Um,
Everything is there.
yeah,
Kickstarter
everything's
links
there.
will be there. Everything.
Perfect. If they want to follow you on social, best place to find you.
I think probably Facebook right
Okay.
now, maybe Threads.
Okay.
I do post pretty much everywhere, but Facebook,
Nice.
I'm the most active probably.
That's awesome. My kids were teasing me. I've gotten very active on LinkedIn lately, and
Yeah.
they keep telling me that that is appropriate for my age,
Yeah.
which I think is actually offensive, but
Yeah. Are
I don't
you
want to
Gen
think about it.
X?
Yeah, I'm on the
You're
tail
Gen
end.
X. Like you're
Yeah.
a Zennial.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
48, so I'm like
Yeah.
in that like weird in between stage. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Zennial. Like I'm 46 and so I'm
Hmm.
like not really Gen X, not really
Yeah.
millennial,
Yeah,
but
just kind of in between. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But
to my
yeah.
children I'm old. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, doesn't matter.
Everybody's old to their kids,
To them I'm
right?
old. Yeah. I told my 16-year-old, he was like ragging me about not understanding something he said yesterday. And he was like, "You're so old." I'm like, "I'm not even 50 yet." He was like, "50?" I was like, "All right, back off." Yeah. Anyway. Um, okay, well, I'm gonna hit stopping you and I can talk a little bit more. Thanks so much, Becca.